Our top story, a 40-year-old cafe owner in Delhi has been found dead at his residence in Model Town in North Delhi. The police have confirmed this as a case of death by suicide. The victim's family alleges that Puneet Khurana was harassed and instigated by his wife and in-laws, daring him to a point of suicide. Now, on the face of it, this may sound similar to the case of Atul Subhash, who our viewers would remember is a 34-year-old techie in Bangalore who died by suicide recently after putting out an elaborate 80-minute last video and a 24-page suicide note. But there are differences as well. Beyond the marriage, there is also a business dispute that seemed to have gotten ugly. The two were business partners while running a cafe in Delhi called Woodbox. Now, Puneet's family has registered a police complaint demanding action against Puneet's wife and her family. The family has also claimed that he had spoken to his wife the night before his death by suicide, and the recorded conversation has the two quarreling with each other over business. Now, we have reached out to the wife for a response amid the allegations which have been raised by Puneet's family. There has been no response yet. Once we get so, we will duly update it on our channel. But for now, let's listen in to what Puneet's family had to say.
मेरे बच्चे को बहुत टॉर्चर किया है मेरे बच्चे को। मेरा बच्चा सीधा था, टॉर्चर कर करके उसको बिल्कुल हो गया था। उसके बाप जगदीश पावा, मनिका पावा और कनिका पावा, तो इन तीनों ने मिलकर मेरे बच्चे को टॉर्चर किया है। हम इंसाफ चाहते हैं, मेरे बच्चे को इंसाफ मिले, मेरे बच्चे को न्याय मिले, मेरे बच्चे को न्याय मिले, मेरे बच्चे को तभी शांति पड़ेगी।
सर, ये स्टेप तो उसने कल दिन में हमें पता चला 3 बजे, जब दरवाज़ा तोड़ के खोला गया तब उसको लटका हुआ देखा है हमने। परसों रात को उसकी और मनिका की लड़ाई हुई है। लड़ाई क्या हुई है जिसमें अगर आपको कन्वर्सेशन सुनाई देगी तो इसने तो बहुत आराम से बात करी है कि आपने ऐसे क्यों किया, ये और वो, और उसने खूब तू तड़क करके मेरे भाई को बहुत गालियां दी हैं और साथ में उसको ये बोला है, हिम्मत है ना मर के दिखा। जबरदस्त प्रोवोक किया, इतना जबरदस्त। मेरा भाई इतना कमजोर नहीं था, उसको इतना प्रोवोक किया, इतना बोला कि उसने एक कदम उठाया।
Now, the police, of course, are investigating, and I want to once again make it clear that we do not have the wife's side of the story so far. But I want to go across to Dr. Harish Shetty, noted psychiatrist, who's joining me now at this point on a more important and often overlooked angle. Dr. Harish Shetty, thank you for joining us in Mirror Now. I want to talk about mental health, specifically the issue of men's mental health. When you look at the rising number of cases of men dying due to suicide, due to marital distress, do you feel that such cases, such that of Atul Subhash and now of Puneet Khurana, are just the tip of the iceberg? Because mental health, especially men's mental health, remains a massive taboo and is often overlooked in India.
Suicide is basically a man's domain, except under the age of 18, more girls commit suicide, more girls die of suicide than men. But what is very important is, if there's a suicide, everybody has an opinion. If there's a heart attack, there are no opinions. We need to do a psychological autopsy rather than allow everybody to give their opinion. That's number one. Number two, yes, marriage codes, the spouses can be distressed, man and woman. It's important to understand that the government, center and the state, should have a big mental health team screening every person for depression and suicide. Well, during COVID epidemic, we screened every Indian. We are in the midst of a mental health epidemic. So we need to pay attention to not only man's mental health, but women's mental health also. Man's mental health is undermined because they don't express their feelings. And also, depression can be very invisible. And in today's world, where emotional contact time has gone down, people work for more than 14 hours. So the mind of a man who's depressed or distressed, or a woman, is like a pressure cooker, and men commit suicide, whereas women attempt suicide. And that is the story of the country. What we need to do is screen
But Dr. Shetty,
by and large.
No, Dr. Shetty, let's be a bit realistic at this point. A lot of times these cases, I'm talking of especially cases like that of Atul Subhash, from the looks of it, that of Puneet Khurana also, they follow predictable script in the form of fake cases, legal harassment, where the process, often the punishment, there's sometimes a child involved. Well, in such cases, isn't the pressure immense for any quote unquote normal person to also develop mental health issues at this point? So then, isn't the
Absolutely,
solution
absolutely.
in the legal issues that create these mental issues, or is it still an issue which you feel that it is something of a epidemic which is encompassing all issues?
Well, mine is like a fuse and it can go off without reason. And why is depression increasing? Because of the pressure which men and women face. And as far as marriage court is concerned, there are different pressures. So what is very important is that in the marriage court, screen every litigant for suicidal thoughts and depression. Depression is not only because of one or two issues, it can be because of a baggage, it can be because of financial pressure, it can be because of shame. But what happens in India is people do not take help out of shame. It's important to kill shame and seek help. Legitimize mental health screening across all marriage courts for all litigants and across all courts in the country. And that is very important. For example, in Bombay or in Maharashtra, the High Court has started pre-litigation centers, which means those cases which should go to the court can come to the pre-litigation centers for settlement. Across Maharashtra, Honorable Justice Abhay and his team have started pre-litigation centers across all marriage courts in Maharashtra. We need to follow that so that we give a window of
Okay.
opportunities so that people can share. And if they have issues, concerns, stress, distress, or suicidal thoughts, they can be easily handled.
All right, Dr. Shetty, thank you so much for joining us with your perspectives. Once again, this was I felt a very underlooked dimension in the Atul Subhash case, which came up as to whether Atul Subhash was mentally in the right state of frame and whether that was induced by the systemic pressures, is just something that remains underlooked for a long time. We still don't know the facts of the case with Puneet Khurana. I want to be very clear about it. We do not want to impugn any judgment on any aspects. We're still looking. The police is investigating, while we'll also try and get you more details. Thank you so much, Dr. Shetty, at this point. I
One
think you wanted to
line
make a point.
I would
If you can quickly make it in 20 seconds, Dr. Shetty, move on. Yeah,
publicize,
go ahead,
don't
Dr. Shetty.
publicize these cases. WHO has said very clearly, media guidelines for reporting suicide. More the
No, Dr.
publicity,
Shetty, see, there is a problem with that also. A lot of people will feel that unless these cases need to come to the limelight, because that, which is why they could stay hidden under the radar for so long. So it has to be a
but
balance that has to be struck. But thank you, Dr. Shetty, for joining us.